Clifford, somebody needs to go around the Clifford Harris house and tiny house for a welfare check because another child of theirs is out here showing their ass. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast. This is Mr. Foxy I Refuse podcast. What is it, like day 2, day 3? We've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, on the episode that came out yesterday. Wherever you get your music on Apple. You know, we have a podcast on Apple and Spotify. This whole Zonnique thing, very, very troubling. And I don't know, like, it just I'm just utterly speechless about it because you decide in your good free time, right, as the oldest child of a very well-known black celebrity. And, you know, whether it's more so within the confines of Atlanta versus internationally, a lot of people know who your mom is. And even more so off of the strength of the reality show that she's had with your stepfather. And to a certain degree, we're familiar with you a little bit. You know, you did the girl group thing for a little bit, didn't quite pop off or whatever. You're familiar to some of us. So you decide, Zonnique, in your free time, to set up a camera phone, iPhone, whatever you use over there in your townhome. Set it up in the kitchen island while sitting with your daughter, very, very precious, cute baby girl, and her father. And you decide to have I don't know if it's like a TikTok trend, I don't know if it's a word up poll questionnaire or whatever that, you know, are out for the couples. I don't know what it is. Some kind of challenge that you want to ask your baby's father a series of questions. And, you know, at first watch, I was like, okay, I think this guy is trying to be funny. This guy's clearly trolling. But then between the first answer and about midway through his second answer to the second question, I was like, I don't think he's joking. I don't think he's joking. So many red flags. You know, there's one thing, to be honest, that, you know, you don't have marriage in mind right now. You know, y'all are what, give or take, in your early 20s. Who's really thinking about marriage, right? That didn't really trip me out. What tripped me out was when they got to the part about them personally or her personally. And he was like, he went into a whole thing and very quickly deviated from the answer to where it was just like, you know, you're giving us a lot more that clearly is coming from another place. You know, not seeing marriage or not, you know, looking, you know, at her as somebody you want to marry at this particular time. Okay. However, when you get to the part where it's about, she's asking, well, do you like me? Or did you see yourself this or that with me? And it's just like, He didn't break stride. He didn't lose sweat. He didn't think a second thought. And then he went to this thing about her attitude, like her attitude is stank, and you already know how I am with bitches and K pasta already with what you like. That rolled off his tongue with such ease and such comfortability, right? Now, there really is no justification in my eyes when it comes to using that word just casually and in the presence of your daughter. And it was at this point I realized it is either a gene or something in I'm going to pull this from the book of Jan Van Zandt, the ideology, right? There's definitely some truth to when she would say, a lot of what a child sees, even when they're not around, they pick up the energy and they pass that on down into their relationship, into their kids. And you got to think, like, for those of us that have been outside, we are to some degree aware of whether it's conjecture, but that, one Clifford, I still can't get over the fact that that's his legal name, treats Tiny just all kinds of whack, right? And that's aside from the fact that they had been together since 2001, didn't get married until 2010. I went into Family Hustle with none of that in mind, right? Saw the kids and I was like, oh, older you have older kids, Clifford Harris. You have older kids that are by the midway through the show, like maybe the second or third season, teenagers already. Now look, I'm no accounting major, but I do know my addition. And I was like, ooh, there's some overlap here. Now mind you, this is what, 2014 that the show came on and was around for a little bit. I would say the oldest child, Zonnique and I want to say Major Damani. It was very, very close. And how, the baby mother of one of his older kids, or a couple of his older kids, were always listed in the frame as Clifford's friend. Okay, anyway. So you think about that, and you think about, the song that Tiny did called What the Fuck You Gonna Do, which is a total bop. And then like the little shots he would take on remixes back in 2014, 2015, addressing the situation or the separation or whatever that wasn't really news yet. Long suffering. And I was sitting here, and all that ran through my mind when I was sitting there watching this girl at her kitchen island. And then I realized all of us are really falling into this trap. We're fresh off of the Simone Biles situation. We talked about that on the Usual Suspects in the I Refuse podcast, I believe, last month. Which, looking back, that wasn't all that bad. But I think a lot of the discourse came from the fact that we all out here knew who Simone Biles is. And while it's cute that she's cheesing while you're answering and talking and stuff, which is really solely based off of the fact that you're a pretty boy with pretty eyes. Can't really fault that being a thing. The main attraction for a lot of girls and some guys. But I think there's a whole discussion that has to be had about, slowing down Little Red Corvette and getting to know somebody. You know, like if by now you haven't picked up on that by watching 90 Day Fiance, whether or not customs is involved or the boy, whatever, it's okay to just kind of have yourself together. But what can you do when you're young, right? So I'm watching this thing and I'm like, it's just something about it. It's just not, this is the other extreme. Opposite end. And it has nothing to do with the fact that Zonnique is not a gymnast that is the most awarded medal athlete ever. And it's not the fact that he's not, a bench warmer of an NFL team. This is more like this goes back to how comfortable young women are with men casually using the B word. And, how we perceive it and translate it as, oh, he probably talks like this to her on a regular basis. This is probably how he talked when he met her. On top of that, you could probably do some calculations as to how long they were together in total. I'm talking about from the time they met to the time they had a child. At no point, from what I surmised, did I get the feeling that he evolved as a man since the birth of his daughter. And, that encapsulates how you speak around not only the child, but the mother of your children. And at some point you realize, all of this that I'm doing, verbally or non-verbally, really affects the environment or the house I live in. That's what I gotta say about him using the B word, other bitches, and this is aside from the face tattoos. I ain't even really tripping off of that. He just got so disgusted so quickly with her. And that was just question 2, right? And I'm breaking this down for y'all because this is what I do with the podcast. He just got agitated and bothered. And I was like, okay, this is coming from a real place. At first I thought, okay, he's just trying to be cute. He's probably just trolling. And she probably went into it thinking, oh, he's going to be cute about this. But bitch, little did I know. It took a turn. I was just like, ooh, girl, not you posting this. Like, to the fact that we're already we keep doing these relationship questions, and it probably didn't even come from a relationship magazine. Not that it makes much of a difference, because again, why would you set yourself up like this? And she probably didn't even review it first. before posting it straight from my iPhone. I'm just theorizing. So I was like, ooh, girl, not this. And not this in front of the kids. Like, this fascination, and it's all performative, right? From my perspective. This fascination with creating things and posting them, probably to some level, an expectation that we're all going to appreciate it. And then, once you got a whiff of the smoke and the static, like, girl, this ain't it, you decide to go to social media and, like, kind of clean it up a little bit. Like, why would you think I'd be pressed about my ex dude? I'm into women now. Ma'am, that has no bearing on all the red flags that came up. And as casual as people are with lesbianism and being gay and everything, and just kind of unserious. I mean, I got stories. It's not groundbreaking that you're into women now. Like, and that doesn't really negate this trash ass video. Like, I mean, it's cute that you're into women. A lot of people are. I'm starting to be. But that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. It's just, you should have ran this through a team. Where is your manager? Where is your PR firm? Where is your team? Where's your mama? Where's your mama? Like, gotta have a conversation around falling on the sword for pretty boys. Like, if after X amount of years, the daughter looked probably all of about 3 years old. If even after she gets to be 3 years old, that he's still sounding like this and talking like this and irritated, leads me to believe that he was like this when y'all met, and it did not evolve. It did not. Y'all weren't together that long before y'all, did the thing. And she probably was like, oh, he got pretty hair. He must got Toshiba in his family. Oh, ooh, he part Cherokee, ain't he? Ooh, and look at his eyes. I'm telling y'all, I came up on the lyrics of Biggie where he was like, give my daughter this college plan so she don't need no man. And I think I even said on the podcast at some point, it would not hurt a lot of parents to start exposing your children to other countries and other cultures. So when they come home, they're not impressed by some dusty pretty boy nigga at the sicko. To the point that they have end up with a child by somebody that does not like them. And let's start there before we talk about marriage and long-term stuff. Because at 22, 23, when you are sitting across from somebody that's talking to you like that or talking about you like that, that you gotta be like, yeah, you setting yourself up by asking them about marriage, and the answer is something to the effect of, oh, it was by text, oh, you didn't mean it, blah, 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 blah. Too many L's, and it's 2024. So, of course, she went further, and they did a reaction video. And I'm like, see, this shit was all performative. I didn't watch the reaction video. I commend her for the production quality, though. Looked like they were on a soundstage. But you know what? It really just starts at home. We're fresh off of King acting a damn fool a couple months ago. Talk about staying on business and exposing all the bullshit. We need to be paying more attention to the two older boys that are making music and are very talented. And I'm curious to see how Deja is doing. The one child that not only stands on business but will, I wouldn't say apprehend, but would like accost you about what the problem is. Now that's a reality TV show that needs to happen. Ah, but Zonnique, girl, for you to be the oldest or one of the oldest, I don't know why you didn't go the way of Riley, go to college. Um, get as far away from these kind of environments as possible. I would have to say some of the most telling things about the Zonnique video and her connection to her mom that I don't think a lot of people are discussing is the trade-off that women make in their relationships, whatever you want to call the one that she has, for making sure their child grows up in a two-parent household. Like, y'all give up a lot, or suffer a lot. One thing I said on the podcast yesterday was, about the long-suffering gene. Black women, shout out to Lemonade for teaching us a whole lot, endure a lot when taught, old school ways and brought up in like old school households. The mother and the father in the household, a lot of us were told, stay out of adult people business. But come to find out, a lot of the adult business, grown people business, most of it revolved around adultery, outside kids, a whole secret family on the other side of town. And when I say that kind of stuff, I'm talking about like from grandmothers and grandfathers. Like, we don't talk about how grandmothers were the side piece, having not one, not two, but three, maybe four children by a married man. Or some of us have mothers that have children by married men. And they must endure emotionally a lot, that comes from that. The loneliness, the sorrow, the jealousy, possibly the envy. But when you have these kind of situations where you endure a lot of verbal and emotional abuse from somebody that even has gone as far as go on camera and tell the rest of us that he don't even like you. And he was just playing about, a marriage proposal by text. And he said on camera, I already have 4 other kids. I'm here. This is the one that I've been in the house, been present and helping throughout the entire thing. But your attitude and all this other stuff. it's like this guy can't even manage a day. And you know what? I will say, while there's nothing wrong with traditional values, some women like singers and, women that grew up in the church live by the word, and they, they too fall, and they might slip up and say some things that are kind of archaic and cause a lot of us to side eye them. But marriage is a whole different ball game. That's a whole different level of commitment. But what I'm telling you is, if you are in a situation, no matter what age you are, like this one, it's perfectly fine to make it on your own. Now, I'm not a Hotep kind of dude. I'm not a follower of Dr. Umar. I think he's quite entertaining, but he has some valid points. Like, we got to have a discussion around why women are so comfortable not needing a man, or it's women realize it's on them to be the man of the house. And that's not absent of whether you believe it's the right thing or not. Like, the question is, how did we get to this point? Because we have boys like this. And trust and believe, the culpability for this kind of dynamic and this kind of situation that she's in is on both parties. Like, I'm a firm believer that the person that does it is just as culpable as the person that allows it. And it's okay for Zonnique to just say, hey, I'm breaking the cycle. Where's Tiny these days? Tiny need to go around there and pull a Sissy Houston and be like, look, nigga, not my daughter. This isn't the daughter I raised. Maybe Zonnique has it in her mind somewhere, or in her spirit, that says, this is what love is. No, it's not. It's okay to want more for yourself and your daughter. It's okay for your mom to want more for you. Somebody needs to get Tiny on the phone. Which one of y'all has our number? A couple other points I want to make is, what's it going to take? I feel like every year we on the I Refuse podcast revisit these kind of conversations. Last year, or maybe the year before last, we were just fascinated as to the choices that other I guess the term is Nepo babies. Even though I technically would be like, are they considered Nepo babies if they've never soared through to success off of the coattails of their parents? Somebody on the line, get down in the comments and we can discuss. Or is it, what's the metrics on that? Not too long ago, we were talking about Biggie's daughter, and that whole her baby's father evading police after a routine stop for a broken taillight. And while evading police, he hit 3 people, including the baby. And of course, he got sent to jail. But she posted his $1 million bond, I think. Yeah, we talked about that. The choices, we got to just, the choices around wanting to make sure your children are raised in a 2-parent household, whether you guys are married or not. The choices as to how much of yourself and your stability, mental, financial, emotionally, do you compromise as a woman for somebody else's irresponsibility? That's aside from the fact that not everybody has $1 million, let alone $1 million to just get somebody out of jail that still has to face trial. And in the interim, you're still being treated bad. Or you're going all out in the most terrible way. Can we have discussions around that? Can we have the discussions with the young ladies about that kind of thing? Because I refuse to believe that at 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, that there isn't more out there for y'all. Yes, I know he fine. I know he got pretty eyes. I know his dick leaned to the left. His dick got a curve or whatever. But it's okay to want more for yourself. Instead of spending all this time making videos and making clips, trying to convince us things are all good or things are not what they seem. Like, Zonnique, you could have just left it at that first video. Because now it looks like you're trying to impress us or convince us, come hell or high water, that this man like you, that this man actually did propose and was serious. And you turned him down. But girl, not this. Not this. And it's January the 16th? Not this. Not this, girl. Ooh, not this. Tiny, come get your daughter. Come be a rocking chair, sitting in the rocking chair, knitting Nana, watching Amen reruns with the kids, putting Young and the Restless on while you clean the kitchen with the grandkids in the playpen. Tiny, come around Zonnique's house and get her some furniture or something. and come back more cultured. But, you know, who am I? I'm nobody's guidance counselor. I'm just Mr. Foxy I Refuse podcast, and thank you for joining us. Be sure to check us out wherever you get our podcast and get your music. Twitter at I Refuse Podcast, Instagram at I Refuse Podcast _ between the words. Also get into the usual suspects in the I Refuse Podcast After Dark, and we will catch you later. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse Podcast.